Now, doesn't that music just make you feel good? Absolutely. No, it's not Monday, though it may seem like it's Monday because we have Memorial Day weekend. So everybody gets so thrown off when you have the holiday weekend. And this Memorial Day was a little bit different, wasn't it? Just a little bit different. You know, people did go out to the parks and they went out to the beaches and whatever they did. A lot of people did decide to stay home and just stay hunkered down, or maybe just have some time around the yard, work on some home improvements, maybe have a cookout in the backyard. But whatever you did, we hope you had a beautiful Memorial Day weekend. If you were with us, we had a wonderful show last night with my dear friend, Tony LoBianco, the award-winning veteran television and film actor. We spent a good deal of time with him and really dug deep about his incredible life and his work with charities and his giving back. And we, of course, played that wonderful film that he hosted and narrated, Just a Common Soldier. And we're still getting so many responses to Tony's joining me here as my guest on the Jim Masters Show Live. Speaking of that, I am your host, Jim Masters. Wherever you are around the world, we welcome you to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here. It is Tuesday, and I hope you're having a good day. The sun is shining here, and I certainly hope it's shining wherever you are around the world. I just want to thank you again for all the love and the feedback. We're getting so much response. I launched this show again 4 weeks ago, and it was absolutely unbelievable in terms of the response. It's just been tremendous, and I'm so happy to see it. We're hearing from all over the United States. We're hearing from Canada. We're hearing from Europe. We're hearing from Asia. We've heard from Australia. And again, as you know, I do this for a living as a television radio host, a journalist, actor, voiceover, narrator, stage MC, and writer, producer. It's what I do. But so many of you asked me to put this show together. So 4 weeks ago, we launched it. We built a set, and we've been having a ball. We've had great guests. Rain Pryor, Richard Pryor's daughter, the wonderful playwright and comedian, and she's running for city council in Baltimore, Maryland. We wish Rain Pryor good luck. Tony LoBianco last night. We had Mairead Nesbitt from Celtic Woman in Rocktopia with us. We had Dan Goggin, playwright who created Nonsense on Broadway. We had Reno Venturi, the acting coach, casting director, and performer, lyricist, and so many other guests. And we have so many fabulous people coming up throughout this week. And we're actually booking into mid-June already, latter part of June, for guests, because so many people want to join us here on the show. And I really appreciate that. So spread the word, share the links, have watch parties, continue to join us. We're here every single night. I really signed up for that, huh? Every single night at 7 p.m. Eastern and 4 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Jim Masters Show Live. Every show is something different with different guests. We do music, we do food segments, we do comedy, we do some deep conversations about life, and a whole host of cool things. Tonight, I've got a very, very special guest who I'm very excited to welcome to the show. In just a moment, she'll be joining us, Liz Keifer. Now, if you are a fan of the soap operas, well, I think she's been on just about every single one of them over the years, but she's a brilliant actress in film and television. And she spent 17 years on The Guiding Light. That's right, Guiding Light on CBS. She was on One Life to Live, Days of Our Lives, The Young and the Restless, General Hospital. She made the rounds. And again, she's a beloved actress. And more than that, she is a fabulous person. She's a very heart-centric, kind, empathetic, loving individual. She loves life. She loves connecting with people. She's a brilliant communicator. She's also an extraordinary life coach as well. If you didn't know that, maybe you just know her from the soap operas and from all the other work, her incredible body of work, television shows she's been on, and so much more. But she'll be joining me in just a minute. We'll be talking about her illustrious career in acting in television and film, but we're also going to be talking about some really cool things that she's doing right now in her life coaching practice, which is really brilliant. She's really touching lives, and she's helping people through some extraordinary things in their life, like what we've been going through right now with this pandemic situation. I hope you and yours are coping and you're doing okay. And we wish you love and light. So again, thanks for sharing the links. We welcome everybody tonight to this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. All your friends are here. Now, of course, you know, we have our props. Every show host has their props, right? And they have their sidekicks. Here's George Burns once again. If you remember, this is a family heirloom. It was my aunt's. It was passed down to my cousin, my aunt as a dog collector, and she got this when George Burns turned 100 years old. They had a limited supply of these. She scooped one up, and it got passed down to me. So George, with a cigar and his glasses, to put a smile on your face. That's what we want to do. We want some light and levity. You know, sometimes life can be hard. So George is here, and of course, your friend, Jimmy Jeannie, the Genie bottle. As always, we like to have Jeannie with us here. You know, she's still stuck in here. We've been talking about it each night. She's stuck in here because the hair salons are still closed. She can't get her hair done. And because she's been in here quarantined since March, she hasn't been able to get out of the bottle and get the hair done. And she's lost her powers. Not too happy in there, Jeannie, are you? Nah, she's not. Well, you hang in there. We'll check back with you at the end of the show, as we always do, okay? Yes, master. So she's in there, and George is going to watch over her. There's nothing feisty or finicky, George. You just stay there. And of course, Silver is here with us as well. Got this on a TV shoot in Europe, and we brought it back, and he has become a part of our show. Again, just putting smiles on your faces, because we don't want to be too serious sometimes. So Silver's here. You guys always ask for Silver, and yes, Jimmy is here as well. There you go. If that doesn't put a smile on your face, I don't know what would. He says hello to you, Jimmy the Clown. This was a childhood toy my parents got me, made of porcelain, and we still have it. And he's still here. So he says hello as well. So I want to tell you about, usually we do celebrity birthdays and a whole other thing before we begin the show. But first, I just want to say I welcome you. I thank you for spreading the word. I continue to do these shows because so many of you are here and you're responding. We have tons of comments lined up already. And I just said hello 6 seconds ago. I really appreciate that. I want to tell you about my very special guest. I'm very excited. Again, she's beautiful inside and out. She's a very caring person. She's had a brilliant acting career. And she's somebody who still has this, it's in her DNA to connect with people and make them feel good and make them feel inspired and positive. And we're talking about my extraordinary guest, Liz Keifer. Now, if you are familiar with a lot of television and a lot of movies and a lot of shows, there she is. She's absolutely amazing. She was born in Pacific Palisades, California, American actress. She played the role of Christina Blake Marlar on Guiding Light from August 1992 until the program ended in September 2009. So we're talking some 17 years. In addition to her very famous portrayal of Blake, Liz has also appeared on other soap operas, as I mentioned, like The Young and the Restless, One Life to Live, Days of Our Lives, and General Hospital. She's been married to Robert Convertino since 1996. She's the mother of 2 children, a daughter, Isabella, and a son, Keifer. And she has been in some of your favorite television shows as well. Lou Grant, Happy Days, as I mentioned, The Young and the Restless, Thursday's Child, Tina TV movie, One Life to Live. She played Connie O'Neill. Cheers. She was in the episode Woody Goes Belly Up. Days of Our Lives, Amy Cooper. The Facts of Life, the episode The Reunion as Belinda. Dallas, The Early Years, General Hospital, Sister Mary Camelia McKay. She was in Full House for an episode, Jesse's Girl. 21 Jump Street, remember that show with Johnny Depp? The Highwayman Leslie, My Two Dads, Rising Storm. Charles in Charge with Scott Baio, Married with Children as well. The Adventures of Superboy, Freddy's Nightmares, Valerie Jennifer Swift. The episode California Dreamin' Part 2. They Came from Outer Space. Adam 12, Lady Killer. Of course, Blake Marlar for 17 years on Guiding Light on CBS. Law and Order, Criminal Intent. Law and Order Special Victims Unit. The Click, Morning Glory. Venice, the series, Amber TV series, and she played Amber. And Built for Two, she played Doris in a short film. And it goes on and on and on. She is so extraordinary. Now, when she was a young girl, she was brilliant at taking on other roles and playing with them. So it seemed inevitable that she become an actress. She spent her years in Los Angeles working in both daytime and nighttime television and film. And again, as I mentioned, she's had a brilliant career at it and had roles in many big name shows. As I mentioned, The Young and the Restless, General Hospital, Happy Days, Cheers, Lou Grant, 21 Jump Street, just to name a few. Then in 1992, she had gotten that big break of a lifetime, a core character role in Guiding Light, a CBS show, which was the longest running show in television history and for some 75 years. She played Blake, a troubled Making Vixen. And she said it was fun to play too. The show moved her to New York, where she got married and again had her 2 children. She said it was a wonderful job, one that seemingly fell right into her lap, and she appreciated every single day of it. And again, here are some fantastic shots for you. You may remember her in these incredible roles and with some of the cast as well. Again, so many years, so many different roles, so many different hairstyles she will attest to as well. Some really, really cool shots here that we have collected. There's a great shot that many of you fans will remember as well. That's a beautiful shot too. And here's another one for you as well with some of the cast and crew. This goes back. That's a great shot as well. That's really, really nice. Really, really cool. And how about this one here? This one is from Full House. That one is from Full House. That's a really, really great episode too, if you may remember that one. And let's see, we have some more here for you. There's another great shot and more with the cast. Another great one here. Again, she's been in a lot of great shows and a lot of great material, and she's doing the life coaching now, which is absolutely wonderful. And we're so happy to have her here to talk about that and so much more. Here's just a couple more shots there for you as we go down memory lane. Guiding Light, Prisoner of Love. We're pulling out all the stops and memories here. Of course, cover of Soap Opera Weekly. How many of you subscribe to that magazine? And of course, Finders Keepers. And there's a scene from, I can see her laughing. There's one of the action scenes, of course. And here's another shot, as we saw that one before. So it was a great one. And there you go. May preview shockers, revenge, seduction, murder. Again, lots of fun, lots of good material there. And it's she's just fantastic. Again, I can go on and on about the wonderful job that she's done. She grew and she learned, she flourished. She honestly felt she couldn't be happier. And then she'll tell the story about some of the progression of her career as well. You know, it wasn't always lollipops and roses. You know, things happen, and this is a very difficult industry, you know, that we're all in. So things happen, and things happen along the way. And but again, she's turned it all into a spectacular career as a life coach now as well. Without further ado, let me welcome her to our show. We have so much we want to talk about today. My good friend, Liz Keifer. Liz, how are you?
Hello. Hello. Oh, wow. That was an introduction. Every time I hear you talk, it's like, wow, that should just be a Hallmark movie.
Because we were on the radio about a month and a half ago, right? First, that's what first put us together. Yeah. And we did the radio interview, and that was terrific. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
That was fun. You're great to talk to. And we continued talking after it even ended. We were like, let's just keep going.
Didn't we? I think we talked for an hour. We had like an hour after with the post-show call. It was, well, yeah. You know, sometimes you come across people who are like kindred spirits, and you sort of click right away. And I think that's what happened. We understood each other. We understand the human condition. We both like to communicate, and we like to inspire and empower people. And you've done that throughout your entire career, Liz.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That's, thank you. That would, if that's what I can contribute to this world, I'll be happy. Very, very happy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you've been doing that. Now, I mentioned a little bit as far as the beginnings of your career. Tell us a little bit about that. When did you first get introduced to acting in California?
Oh, wow. Well, I started just the school stuff. My sister was very involved in all the theater, and she was 6 or 7 years ahead of me. So I was always like the kid. She's always like volunteering me to be the kid. So I started very young,
yeah.
Just to be on stage. But so I looked up to her just like crazy. Every musical she did, I was like, oh, I would, dream at night that I was in it, and I would cast myself in it. And I just lived in my imagination. But so I just did all the stage stuff. I was very much into music. So that brought me on stage singing with chorus and madrigals.
Mm-hmm.
I was singing actually was my first love. And what my first performing you know, venturing into the performance world. And we had amazing arts program at that point. It was just an amazing culture back in California at that point. And then when I got into junior high and high school, that's went into doing musicals, and then I started getting parts and acting, and I just loved it so much. I have to say that I didn't have to go far to open the door and step into acting professionally, because it really truly was in my backyard. It's not. I was one of those people that had to drive cross country in my VW with, you know, and and start my whole life over.
The whole thing over, right?
I'm incredibly privileged for this bridge that, like, oh, I could make this happen with more ease and grace. So I recognize that, and I got into commercials when I was a teenager. And that just opened the door to just getting into the unions. And I mean, you know, I had a lot of amazing beginner luck. Like, I think my very first job on Lou Grant, I had no agent. I was going to school. Oh, I was doing everything. Because I was at UCLA at one point, and then I was working as a waitress in Numero Uno's in Westwood. That's a big college town. And it was another waiter who just said, oh, they're looking for an 18-year-old blonde for Hill Street Blues. And I was like, he's like, you should send your picture. And I went, I don't have an agent. He's just do it anyway. So I did, with my home phone number, saying, I'm presently seeking representation, but I really appreciate you looking at this and give me a call.
Right.
Oh my gosh, the casting director called me at my house and said, it's not a part, we don't have, I don't want to see you for Hill Street Blues. There's actually a part on Lou Grant that director's very interested in seeing you, and he saw your picture. And I was like, well, okay. I literally just showed up on the lot, and through a set of circumstances, I happened to be studying at the time with a wonderful acting teacher named Carmen Zapata. I was going through a couple of years with her. And he happened to, George Stanford Brown was the director of this particular episode of Lou Grant, and they were friends. And so he saw this on my resume. And he basically said, if you take this to her, you can have the part. So this stuff is not heard of, you know, it doesn't happen like that. No,
that doesn't work that way.
I went to all the agents I had been submitting to, and I said, well, I'm shooting a Lou Grant next week, and who would like to
take
this on?
Right. Exactly.
So I definitely had beautiful, like, naive beginners. I think ignorance is bliss. I'm big with ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, sometimes
there was nothing about me that said, no, you can't do this.
Right.
I just assumed, of course you can. And why not? What? And I wasn't worried about what anybody thought. And I wasn't.
Those are two major. Two major pluses, that, you know, you thought that you can do it and you weren't worried about what other people are thinking. Those are two things that most people really get hung up on. Oh no, I can't do that because I never did it before. And, you know, what are people going to think if it doesn't turn out the way that we all hope it does? And that stops everybody.
Back to this all the time. I circle back to that 18-year-old girl that had no fears and just followed her instincts and the just natural progression, and just listened to my body and went, okay, I'll do this, and just wasn't worried about it. And it didn't even matter. The outcome didn't even matter. I thought it was that's so attractive. So yes, I circle back to that quite often.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I lost her for a while too. Trust me.
So you're on set. There's Ed Asner and gang, and what was that moment like when they rolled cameras and there you are on the set of, Lou Grant? You've got Ed Asner and all the gang there. That must have been.
Well, I actually was a film within a film. So it was an interesting, I didn't actually work with Ed Asner. Ed Asner ended up watching this movie that I was the lead in. So it was supposed to be about violence on television, how it affects, does it affect gang related, because I was a victim of a gang rape, basically.
Right.
That's my first job, and it was very difficult, and I had to get into a car and run over the guy that it was post rape, and they had beaten up my boyfriend, who was I guess a rival gang person. I don't know. I can't remember. And then I had to get into the car, drag this unconscious boyfriend into the car, which was the hardest part of this job, and get in the car and run this guy down. He was on a motorcycle, and I have to run him down. And it was supposed to be like how I was this innocent, 18-year-old ingenue that was brought to killing, and it was supposed to be him watching this. So I didn't get a chance to interact with him, but the job
with him directly.
Yes, I just worked with the director, who was amazing and wonderful, and I still thank him all the time. It was like he gave me that first break, which was very cool. I mean, it was everything, and from there I went and immediately did a Happy Days, because then I had an agent that just started sending me in, and then it's just word, oh, she just shot Lou Grant, and let's see her for this, and and then I'm on set with Henry Winkler. And
were you pinching yourself during all of that, Liz, or were you like, hey, this is what I've been working towards? Or both combo, yeah.
A little bit of both, because at the time you don't know these things. Well, Happy Days I knew was iconic, because Happy Days, it was I believe it was the last season of Happy Days that I was on before it went off to Johnny Loves Chachi and all that. It sort of split. So I understood I was on an iconic show, and actually Lou Grant, but at the same time it was just a job. Still, it was like, I gotta get through this job.
Right.
I kind of was there before I had a lot of experience. I really learned as I went, especially for film and television. There wasn't a lot of they didn't have the kinds of workshops in place as they do now, where you can actually learn how to be in front of a camera and what all the aspects were. I remember the first I guess it was a commercial though. The first time on set, the lighting technician, he puts he brings a light to your face to read, a light meter to your face to read the light. And well, I thought it was a microphone, and I talked into that thing all day long. And every time they brought the light meter to my face, I'd start saying, testing, 1, 2, 3, and they let me do it.
Of course they did.
And they had a ball. And so I'm getting red just thinking about it.
Yeah,
I did that.
The production crew likes to have fun sometimes. Exactly. Yeah.
I was definitely the brunt of many pranks.
So so then you moved on to, after Happy Days, what happened from there? Because those are two major breakouts there, Lou Grant and Happy Days. Wow.
I continued. I was just auditioning. I mean, I guess Young and the Restless was the first long-term job that, because I don't know the order of these things. They all are blending together. It was a long time ago. Yeah. Young and the Restless was the first, I have a contract. Oh, okay. And it's where I had to leave school at that point full time, because I couldn't juggle everything. And I went into a professional school. Actually, I worked with, it's called the Academy of Stage and Cinema Arts, which was really cool. I worked with a wonderful man called David Alexander. And it was all working actors, and these classes were at night, where he was actually preparing us to be on stage as well as a sound stage. This was wonderful. So I did Young and the Restless for a couple of years. Totally thought that, okay, this is it, then I think I had my first dry spell after that. When I went, this doesn't just keep happening every single week.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, and I did various I did Days of Our Lives for a little, but they were just like 3 month. They weren't even contracts. That go in, play the storyline. I guess it was One Left to Live took me out to New York the first time in 1985.
Right.
Or, and that was for a couple of years, and that was mind blowing. You know, that introduced me to New York, and I really loved it.
You fell in love with it, huh?
Yeah. I really loved it. But I went back to LA when One Left to Live was finished. I did go back to LA, and then I proceeded to do I was everybody's girlfriend on every sitcom known.
Right.
You know, I worked with all these fabulous people. I worked with George Clooney on Facts of Life. He was fabulous. And I worked with, you know, Johnny Depp, and the Full House was really great, because I remember that particular week I was quitting smoking.
On the episode or real life?
No, in real life.
In real life.
I was like,
I
was not great. And
little
those
edgy.
were so grounding and so helpful. I just remember that. I just remember being a little like, I'm like having withdrawal here. And I think I kissed everybody on the show. So maybe, you know.
Including Bob Saget.
Not Bob Saget.
Not Bob Saget. Yeah.
Yeah.
John Stamos. And
those are really good guys.
yeah, they are.
Favorite. I love 3-camera sitcoms. I just love it.
Oh yeah. That was I think created really by originally Desi Arnaz, right? Lucille Ball, that 3-camera shoot situation for I Love Lucy. That's where that was initially.
Very, very distant relative of mine. Through one through marriage, because my father's aunt married Lucille Ball's uncle. So Lucille Ball's uncle was a barber in Jamestown, New York.
Jamestown, right?
Yeah. And he married, I forget her first name. Her last name was Palm, my father's aunt, my great aunt. So my great aunt married her uncle.
Lucille Ball's uncle.
Yeah.
Wow.
So and then also my grandmother's McGillicuddy, and that was her maiden name. So I have
and that was used, right, a maiden name on the show. So that's her
name. Yeah.
Lucille McGillicuddy. Wow. So there's a little bit of that in there too, huh?
Oh yeah.
So that acting bug was already in there. You already had it in there.
And I met her once, and I didn't have that. I've spent New Year's Eve with her. There's just circumstances led to this, where I ended up at Lucy Arnaz's apartment. I was invited from people.
Yeah.
Crazy set of circumstances. Like she was, I think, giving birth she was supposed to be in the hospital giving birth, and she didn't. So she had this last minute thing, and friends I was supposed to be spending New Year's Eve with were invited. And so they said, but can we bring Liz? And I didn't have do you know that I met her and I sat there next to her, and I didn't have the words to tell her
how you felt,
how we have a connection. I absolutely just starstruck. I probably was 23 years old. I just didn't have it within me. I was like, I can't believe it.
Have you had any further contact with Lucy Arnaz over the years through any of that?
No, it's funny. Yes, through friends.
Yeah, she's a friend of mine, and
that invited me. Yes,
right.
Yes, she's wonderful.
She is incredibly funny. And I don't know if you ever got a chance to see any of her one-woman shows that she does with her accompanist, Ron Abel, on the piano, but it's really incredible. She sings, she tells stories, and she has the audience erupting in laughter. She's spot on. She's very, very dry-witted with her humor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She's really, Lucy Arnaz is a great, great person. So, and then, like you say, you've got a taste of the soap operas, and then comes Guiding Light. And that was quite a run with Guiding Light, huh?
Well, Guiding Light was just, it was everything. And ironically, I had gotten to a place where I was seriously considering quitting the business, because I was getting very tired of the gypsy lifestyle, and I truly was looking for home somewhere. And the roles I was doing, I just didn't quite, I hadn't found my magic yet. I hadn't been aligned with my true self yet. And I was, I did the roles on General Hospital and this various roles, but I wasn't in the zone, shall we say.
Exactly right.
And there's a part of me that just said, I'm not sure I'm cut out for this. And I actually was starting to think about getting into sound editing because I love to edit. I just love to edit. And there was a part of me that was starting to like, I'm going to investigate this. I really don't know if my heart's in this any longer. And I kind of had this pact with the universe where I said, show me, help me, guide me to something else, unless it's Guiding Light. Guiding Light,
Right.
I will go talk to those people because Guiding Light has been my favorite show since 1979. And I love everybody on that show. And that would be a completely different scenario. And I literally had that conversation with the universe. And sure enough, Betty Ray comes to town she comes to Los Angeles searching. They were searching for the part of Eve, Guthrie on the show. And they called me in. I went, oh my gosh, I'm going to have a meeting with Betty Ray. I went and read. She was amazing. We connected. I knew it. She knew it. She knew I was a Guiding Light person, like person that comes to Guiding Light. There's something in their eyes. There's something in their heart. We really did. We were a family and we had the same acting DNA. And I got into my car in the parking lot and I just sobbed. It was one of those moments where I was like, oh, come on. I had just made a decision, and then you give me this and I just sobbed. It was an epic life moment. And then after that, it's just a series of events. Definitely, I knew I was going to go on the show. Betty Ray had so much to do with that.
Yeah.
She was a big advocate for me,
Exactly.
So yeah, that's an interesting story because just once again, I had I just let go of the outcome, having to control the outcome. When I was willing to give up the whole business, I was free. And then I learned all these amazing lessons about how to be free.
Isn't that amazing how that happens? Sometimes when we're chasing something or we're overthinking or we're trying to make it perfect and have every duck in a row before we make our next move. And then all the moons have to be lined up before, because I've always done that too. Sometimes I wait to do something. I'm like, well, I'll wait until, I don't know, you probably do this too. Usually when I do something, whether it's television, radio, stage, commercials, anything, film, I hate it right after I do it. Meaning when I first see it, there's that shock value of first seeing it, because when you've done it looking out of your eyes from your peripheral vision, sort of. But yet when you see it back, there's sort of this shock value and you're sort of editing it and dissecting it and sort of, you're not sold on it. Right. Everybody. Exactly. Everybody else may love it. Everybody else may say it's fantastic, spot on. Wow, brilliant, awesome, great. But I don't like it usually right away. But now I can pull out tapes of stuff that I did 10, 15 years ago, whatever it is. And now I sort of detach the emotional investment that I had when I first did it. Because, even when you walk off the stage or walk off set, whatever, you're still emotionally wrapped up in what just happened, what you just did. So that still stays with you for a while. And then when you hear it or you see it, it's still there and there's the shock value. But then as time passes on and I look at the work, suddenly I start to appreciate what I've done more and say, maybe what they were saying was true, or maybe, under those conditions, at that level of experience, it was pretty good, but it takes time. I have to detach emotionally from the emotional investment that I put into it all. And I'm sure that's the same for you too, huh?
Yes, I have a lot more compassion for the younger versions of myself now, and which is nice. At the time, beating myself up was, that didn't get me anywhere. Yeah. But, so much of how I learned about film was the fact that on a soap, I was pretty obnoxious about going into the editing room practically every day after I shot something. And I would ask, can I see this? Can I see the two takes? Can I see the difference and see what it did? And I just learned so much. I actually was better at being objective about it at that time, because my intention was to learn. It wasn't to run away from it. It was like, I need to know what I did so I can continue doing what worked and I can stop doing what didn't work. And
Right.
there's a part of me that was able to sit back and watch it like that, which I was very grateful for.
Do you sometimes what I'll do, or if I'm with people and we're watching something, like something's going to come on and I know I'm going to be on it and we're together watching it, sometimes I'll ask the people around, I'll say, when you watch this, detach, if you can, from the fact that we know each other. Watch it as if you don't know me, and then let me know, would you be convinced by that? Would you have been persuaded by that? Would you have been
Right.
moved by that?
Right.
And then when I watch stuff that I've done or hear back things that I've done, I try to do the same thing. I detach myself from myself and become the listener or the viewer and say, would I be convinced by what he just said or what he did? Or, is he inspiring me or persuading me? And I think it's a good tool to do, because so many people get stuck at that point where they don't, they're stuck in just the analytical part of what you've done, as opposed to appreciating, the beauty of the work that you've just done, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, well put. Well put.
That's what it's all about, truly. So Guiding Light, all these soap operas, all these amazing shows. What are some of the things in doing that work, that amazing work, that you've learned, that have taught you about who Liz is inside?
Well, I learned so much with Guiding Light.
Yeah.
Because first of all, wow, how do I put this? I guess it was like a roller coaster of being very much aligned with it being wonderful. And I have so much freedom to be, Jerry and I were able to work so beautifully together, and it just unleashed all of this joy and freedom as an actor that I'd never had in any other role. So for the first part of it was me having permission to have all that and it be safe and supported and valued. And so that was really good. I wasn't trying to be, I knew I couldn't be false at all. My essence had to come in, and I let it rip. And it was interesting is because then I got very, I want to say complacent. I'm not sure if the word's complacent. I was so happy with what's going on. And I was so, I had a beautiful family, and I'm just like, I had married my wonderful Bobby, and I had these 2 kids, and I had this job. And it's almost like the more you have, then there's more at stake. And I got more into, I need to control the outcome of this.
Right. And you were in a comfort zone.
Yeah, it's a comfort zone that was starting to shut things down a little bit. And not shut things down, but take my personal power. And then I started giving it to the powers that be. Like the show started, I better be good. I want to stay. My intention is to stay, not to be free, And it's I only realized this later when, towards the end, and we've talked about this, you and I have talked about this, and I've talked about this all over the place, the last 5-6 years of the show, it all changed, and the corporations, wanted to downsize, trying to
bottom line. Yeah.
And I was the first to be taken off contract, and you change of status and all that. But I was still on the show. But no, I'm not guaranteed all the things that a contract player is guaranteed. And
didn't that happen recently with the cast of Days of Our Lives too? I think that there was that. Not sure they were going to renew everybody's contracts, but you still had to work. And
I'm not sure. I might be a little bit different situation. I could be totally wrong, so I don't know if I can speak to it. I thought it was something where they were going to shoot for a while and then take a hiatus for 6
and see what happens, right?
And then come back again, and they just allowed everybody can go off and do whatever they want. They're not under contract during that period of time.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
that's a different, I think that, I mean, it's a way to keep the show on the air. And I think
Right.
it's brilliant, actually. I think that I'd love to be an actor on that show doing that, where
To have
you
that.
work and then you have all this other time off and then you come back and work again. Oh, it's
Hmm.
great. Um, but this was, way before it was just starting to be like scary, like, uh-oh, people are starting to go off contract. Um, so I just learned that I suddenly became very, very small inside. And, I allowed that whole change of status to dictate my worth. Suddenly I'm like, oh, I must be not good. I must be too old. Or
You're turning it on yourself, right?
yeah,
Right.
so this story suddenly turned into, I got scared and like, oh, I better be a good girl and maybe they'll change their mind, all this nonsense. I now, can locate this and go, oh yeah, I became kind of a victim and I did all these things. Until I stopped. And, so I learned so much
How
about
were you able to do that? What got you to be able to stop? What was because that's a great life lesson. How did you know? When were you comfortable enough to say, I can stop and I'll still survive?
because I had gotten really good at enduring. Um, and then I saw myself and I saw myself as being like very pathetic. You're enduring,
Yeah.
like people not treating you and valuing the way that you need to be valued, you would like to be valued. And I guess there's a part of me that just recognized that, said, I like, who is this Liz? What happened? I mean, how did I become her? Um, and I got mad. Then I got angry. And I love, emotions are here to teach you things.
Yes.
Anger, when fueled correctly and in balance, it's here to claim your power. It's here to
Mhm.
correct injustice. It's. I started listening to my body, going, wait a second, and then throwing out the the need to control the outcome. I finally went, you know what? This is not good. I don't like who I am when I walk through the doors. I don't like how I feel. It used to be fun and fabulous, and now I'm not. I'm feeling small, and what can I do? And then I would, I'd sit there and I kind of did my little exercise of who would I be if I had this wonderful film waiting for me? I'd show them. And then it was almost like this light bulb that went out. Like, wow, yeah, who would I be if I had a film waiting for me? And I loved how my whole body responded to that. And I thought, this is who I want to be when I walk through the doors. So I play a little game with myself, this little actor secret game. I just decided I would choose to be, if I'm going to have to go through these doors every day, I'm going to do it. I'm going to find a way to be happy doing it. And so I played this little game where I just made up this fantasy world of who would it be if I had this film waiting for me, and it was directed by Ron Howard, because I know Ron Howard
Yeah. From
and
Happy Days. Yeah.
it's a year from now, and it's supposed to be a secret. I can't tell anybody. And it's in Europe, and so my job is just to go have fun this year and know that this thing's waiting for me. And I just started turning the corner where every day I would get to this place, I go, oh, I like this. I like this a lot. And I had, it's not like I'm creating something out of nowhere. I've been cast in many things. So I just tapped into the part of me that had worth, and that's right. You know, why I have value here. Many people have hired me before. Many people will hire me again. It's like, what am I doing here? So I played this little game, and it was just, didn't tell anybody, but it changed how I felt. It changed my vibration in the room. It changed how I looked people in the eyes, and
Hmm.
my heart is forward. And I mean, my whole body changes when I even talk about it. I'm like,
Absolutely.
I'm liking this. And it became a way. And it worked. That's law of attraction, that just whatever you focus on expands. And um, suddenly it came full circle where I was, everything did get back on track. I mean, I went from having no dressing room and wandering the halls and having to use somebody else's dressing room every single day, which was really, that was probably is when I hit bottom. I was like, because when we moved studios, it's a long story, but we moved studios during the course of this. And then we went into CBS, suddenly you have to have a contract in order to have a dressing room. So I had to use other people's dressing rooms. And then there was a code on the door to get into these dressing rooms, which they would not give to me because it was not my dressing room. So I was literally asking permission from the wardrobe people to get into the room every time I left and came back. That was like, I think that's the visual where I went, nah.
Right. Yeah, that's like
not gonna work. Not gonna work anymore.
Right.
So anyway, those are really great. It's my dressing room story. That was my hitting rock bottom. I mean, and this is all relative. You know, this is not that's a very first world problem. I understand.
Right. Exactly.
But for me, and at the time, it taught me about self-worth, because by the time the show did go off the air, my value and my self-worth did not come from the show. It came from me. And I found it myself.
Now, see, that's a beautiful thing that it's important we maybe pause there too, because a lot of people, and I'm sure you've worked with a lot of people, where the self-worth comes from the job, whatever they do for their career, but especially when it's in the entertainment industry, when you're getting the light on you and the glamour and, you know, the limos and the paparazzi and the awards and the accolades and the love. And sometimes those two things can sort of compete with each other and intertwine, and one can take over the other. You seem to have, from the very beginning, which is what I think is cool and what I noticed about you when we had the conversation on the radio, you have this keen ability to sort of, as all these fabulous things have come your way, sort of maybe without even realizing you're doing it, which, and I do the same thing. That's why I think I chime in on this, to sort of stop and like assess the situation as it's happening. And as far as, you know, you and how you're developing and how am I being treated and understood? And am I, you know, growing as an individual, like you said, with the guiding light situation, you were able to stop and pause and go through that in a way where you came out of it. I think what it was is you were very much in touch with self. You know, you were all these other people, you were Blake, you were all these other fabulous characters, but now you had a situation once again, which happens often in life, where you were in touch with self, and self was asking self, what do we do here? Are we happy with this? You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing.
You know, I listened to it and I was I'll be a lifelong learner of self-awareness, but I work a lot with Martha Beck, which I love. She's a mentor of mine and everything. And I love what she says. It's, we're all on an integrity cleanse. You know, I do a lot of exercises with her, and that's key, because it's knowing yourself. It's standing in your integrity and living in your values. And, I made a vow to stand in my integrity and to recognize it and be aware of self. Like when you're off, when you're off your center and not connected to yourself, that's when you start to feel all contracted and small and diminished. And now I know that's my sign that I'm off my path, when I'm all diminished and I'm a small version of Liz. Like, what am I thinking? What's the story I'm telling myself? That's not true. It may seem real, but it's not true, because if that's the response to it, then that means it's a lie. It's not where your self wants you to be. Your self wants you to be, you know, the 18-year-old version of myself who just says, do you want me?
Right. I'll be on Lou Grant.
Sure. You know, that was me just responding to self, I think.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
Very joyful joyful times. I mean, I like to look at people and I like to think about who they are as the 8-year-old version of themselves. And then I want to talk to them like that. Let's get there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Oh, absolutely. When you took on all these different roles, of course, when we take on different roles in life, we definitely have elements of ourselves wrapped up, especially in the acting field, wrapped up, little snippets of ourselves in our lives wrapped up in the character. Of all the characters you've played, which is the one that the most amount of Liz was in?
Oh, wow. There's so many different aspects of me. And there's so many different parts that, I mean, I was really good at playing parts of myself and identifying with them and like letting them run the, drive the bus, and my real self stays back. And I could, I could go years with allowing parts of myself be the driver. So that's a really good question. That's a really good question. Blake is really the vulnerability and the humor and the sassiness is definitely me. The playfulness, all that playfulness with Jerry and I would be very playful together. That's Liz. That's definitely me coming out.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know what a role that was all me. I think you're just, it would have to be some elements of Blake. Definitely.
Yeah. Blake.
I've done all these other roles like on Law and Order and that kind of thing. And I've definitely, I can go play the uptown, really bitchy, Fifth Avenue, rich lady and the cougar stuff and all that stuff. But that's not, those are just really not interested in those. Like,
do I have to?
Wisdom.
Do I have to?
I know. It's funny. This pandemic has really made that clear to me. I'm like, wow.
Well, you and I were talking before we went live on the air, and when we were on the radio with the radio interview. With all of that's gone on, obviously it's been tragic with the health situation and the amount of losses and the economic situation and the fallout from all of that. It's been a total unusual. And I say it all the time to everybody. I think the only two people that could have scripted something like this would be Steven Spielberg or Stephen King, with the drama of it all. How have you been dealing with it? How have you adjusted? I think, and you and I talked about this, and I've talked about it with other folks. I think it really is some sort of a major, maybe overdue in some way, reset, a societal reset, an opportunity through this horrific situation to grow, to become more empathetic, kinder, love one another more, not to be Pollyanna, but to really understand the human condition and why we're here, and that we do really depend on and we really need one another.
How we're all connected.
Yeah. And prior to this, what was everybody saying? They were complaining about the road rage. They were saying nobody says please, thank you, or you're welcome. There's no more empathy and no more kindness. And everybody is going to the diner and they're all stuck with their heads in their cell phones. So we were sort of already social distancing before we had to social distance. And now that we're social distancing, nobody's enjoying not having that human contact.
No.
So
really appreciating the connection.
I think, I think that this is really a time where we could really harness so many beautiful things and rise from the ashes and sort of come out of this.
Yeah. The question is what we're going to make of this. That's
the key. Right. So you're a life coach in addition to this brilliant acting career on television and in film. Tell us about that cool transition. I mean, what you just described, the story of your life, the Liz Keifer story, and all these opportunities and these reevaluations and assessments. I think you've been pretty much a life coach throughout in various ways, shapes, and forms. And then finally, it came to the point where it became the crust of what you're doing.
Yeah.
When did that happen?
Well, it became very evident when Guiding Light went off the air, and I was coaching actors and young people in my community. And I was really helping people. I would do film workshops and help people just get comfortable in front of the camera. And I think I'm very good with transition from stage to film, because I've done both, and I've got big energy and I know how to contain it for film. So, but I realized I was so not interested in just like teaching people how to hit a mark and,
The mechanics of it all.
I mean, I'm fine, the mechanics of it all. What I was, ooh, let's find out who you are. Don't try to be somebody else. Let's find out what your original medicine is. What's your magic? What is it that makes you special? And what is it that makes you different and unique and quirky? Because that's what people fall in love with, and that's what you want to walk into a room with. And so it was eliminating all the stuff that doesn't work and just getting down to the real self. Like, let's find out what that is, and let's let that come through in all your different characters. And it was a mother of a kid who actually one day said, "You know what you're really doing is life coaching."
Right.
Because she said, "I just want my kid to be around you because you're inspiring them," and blah 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 blah. And I realized my true desire was not in the helping. I mean, I love to see actors succeed. Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love actors so much. But I realized, wow, it's in the transformation. It's in the finding their true identity. And I know that I had such an amazing path to find mine, and I gave over my power over to way too many people for way too long. And I know what that feels like. So I'm really good at pinning that down for other people when they've given their power over. And then it's like, it just became more important that I work with people in their lives. Yeah. So then I started helping let people who are non-actors be comfortable in their own bodies and understand what their emotions are. And it's like my brain exploded. So I decided I found Martha Beck because I read one of her books, and she combined so much of the spiritual, mystical end of things with like really sound psychological sound, thought management. And I said, oh, this is good. So I worked with her for several years, and now I still have this cross. It's all, I love to help people who are non-actors understand the actor process.
Right.
Because, even as an actor, this, the way I would work on and dissect a character, I would kind of look at their behavior. I'd pick up a script and it's like, okay, so what's motivating this? And you can follow it back, because it's a thought or a belief story you're telling yourself, which affects you respond to that emotionally, which then will affect your action, what action you take or non-action. Maybe you're paralyzed, you don't take any action, which ends up in your result, your circumstances. And that's the whole thought process that I help people. What's the story you're telling yourself? Who'd you be without that story? Help them come up with a story that's just as true, if not truer, that actually changes the way that you respond to it. And open, just like the Guiding Light thing. It's like, I have a story of they don't want me, which led to, total feeling like I'm nothing and small, and then a diminished version of myself walking through, and just my whole life got smaller. Or, oh no, people, I have a secret, I'm I'm valued big time, and I've got good stuff in store. And then I just walked differently, and it changed everything, and it was just turning a story around. But so I go into that at length, helping people reframe and get into an alignment with who they really are, who their true self is. It's always there because it's freedom, it's compassionate, it's all these wonderful things. So I help people identify what that is. A lot of people don't even know.
Because in reality, I mean, you're a professional actress, but all of us play different roles in our lives anyway.
Absolutely.
And we're one way with the family, and one way with the friends, and one way with the people at work, and one way with the taxi driver, and and we're all these different roles. And sometimes when you're alone, you say, okay, which one? It's just like, what was it? What's my line? Or To Tell the Truth, where it was like, who is the real version of you?
Stand up, yeah.
Yeah, with the real one.
What it is, it's always the one that's watching. That's what it is. All these other parts come in to protect you, and the raging girl, or the inner critic, or they're all there to protect you from feeling or getting hurt or whatever. They all have very good intentions. There's all these parts of you. There's a wonderful system of psychotherapy called IFS, which is internal family systems, that I'm starting to research, because it's just really like, boom, I think it's fantastic, and it's all based on that you have a true self that's there. But there all these other parts that, what part of you is coming and taking over to protect you for some reason, and maybe it's trying to protect another part of you, and they're all like family. They're all jockeying for position, and maybe it's interesting. You have a relationship to all of them. It made sense to me, because I used to think I was crazy. I thought I was a little like, ooh, how can I be all these different people so easily? Like, I would go from good girl to bad girl on a dime. And I'm like, well, who am I? Am I really like, I was playing people poisoning their husbands on Freddie's Nightmare, and I was like, had no problem with that.
Okay, send me the script. All right,
But
I'll be there.
at that point, I don't think this is anything I would want to be doing right now. I don't know. I never say never. But so, yeah, that's when I realized I'm just responding to the story. I'm responding to a part of me that's believing a particular story. And so therefore I'm really good at follow through.
Exactly. Right. You must, I'd imagine, I know when you work with your clients, one of the key things to do is to establish trust, right? Because a lot of times, and it is the same way when you're working with an acting partner, you trust each other to be supportive with one another, to lift the other one up. And if you see the other one, and I do that as a host too, if I see somebody sort of quietly going down for the count, or sort of quietly come in and sort of maybe smooth it out or prop them up without pointing it out that I'm rescuing them. So I know that in the acting world, it's the same thing, where you're trying to, that's why they call it supporting cast. You're supporting one another. When it comes to the work you do as a brilliant life coach, it's the same thing. You establish this trust in the beginning with the person, because they're going to probably be sharing things with you that they don't even share with their closest loved ones and friends, because you are unbiased. There's no baggage. There's no,
I mean, yeah,
it's perfect.
I mean, it's really more curiosity of like, let's track this. Because usually when people come to me, it's because they're uncomfortable with what they're feeling. They don't understand why they're feeling it, and they would like not to feel that. So we have to first like figure out what it is you're actually feeling. It might be layers. It might be it might be stuff underneath it. But and it's okay to feel this stuff too. You've got to ask it when it's trying to give you a message. So I think I'm very good with making a very safe space for investigating all of this, and just helping people to see them. Coaching is not therapy. Coaching is I just provide that space and that support. And ask all the questions and help guide you to your own answers, and your own truth and your own alignment with your true identity. And then everything just starts to fall in place with your life. I mean, usually it's like your business starts booming as a symptom of that. But yeah, where was I?
Well, you got a lot of thoughts going all at once. Right?
I do, because it's yes. First, we just established
The trust.
a non-judgmental relationship. Get some fundamental exercises and thought processes like clear. So we understand certain things. There's a lot of people who just don't even realize that they're being a victim. It's just like going from victim to creator in your life. People don't even realize that they're being a victim. You know, they don't realize that their behavior is that, where they're blaming all these outside sources for their problems. And so perhaps it's just shining a light, just asking, how does it feel to allow the, you know, the powers that be to hold all the power? You know, how does that feel in your body? And usually everybody, you'll go, it doesn't feel good. It's like,
exactly. Right. Exactly. So obviously we've been dealing with this pandemic situation, and we see some light, coming through that tunnel. But what are some of the things that your clients, your coaching clients, have been expressing in terms of maybe their fears or their hopes and dreams and desires? Because this has really changed everything for everybody.
It's all about being able to plan and control, and fear of the unknown, uncertainty, living in an uncertainty, helping people find that place where they can actually be flexible and relaxed in the moment, even though they're in the middle of it's like a surfer riding a rogue wave, that just keeps rising and rising and rising. And,
right.
You're on that rogue wave. We're all on it. We don't really know what's going to happen with it, but the way to ride it is to be relaxed on your surfboard. Like you have to hang loose. You have to actually have to be soft, and you have to be able to breathe, and you have to be able to stay balanced. The surfboard's the present moment, and the rogue wave is this pandemic that we're riding. It's a balance of being mindful in the moment, and having to let go of the outcome, because we don't know what the outcome is. So there's a lot of, I believe we create our future. We co-create the future through the present moment, through every single decision we make and response we make to, we have the power to choose our thoughts and to respond to things. So, you can stay present and aware and find, what are you going to ask different questions, really. So it's just to help people take that fear, and the fear is still there, and it's meant to be there. So it's not like, ooh, pretend you don't have fear, but have a different relationship to fear, and let the fear, have a relationship where maybe you can ask it to step aside for a moment.
Right.
So intuition can come in, and you can actually be inspired to make the next right move.
Mm-hmm.
Fear won't let you do that. Fear is grasping it. So how do we? That's what we'll do. Is we'll find out what's behind the fear, and then who'd you be without that, and let's see what happens. So we play. So it's helping people feel better, so they get through the day and they start feeling they can actually feel good in the middle of this.
Exactly right. Exactly. When you look at it all, when you look at this extraordinary acting career that you have had and have, and the life coaching that you're doing, is there any one of those two things that really speaks to your heart even more? Is the life coaching something that really, really is the true essence of Liz?
Oh, well, that's taking all of the healing aspects of what theater is. Acting is healing. And
yes.
So a storyteller is like, but the life coaching is definitely in a personal transformation. That's an amazing thing for me to take this into my real life and into the real lives of people. My biggest vision is to have a blend of the two, and I don't even know. Maybe it needs to be a series about a life coach. I don't know. But this is why I'm doing my podcast. I have a podcast called Let's All Feel Better. And that truly is a series of like really super juicy conversations about entertainment industry, as well as all the lessons about resiliency and the life coaching. You know, it's great. I have a great co-host named Callista Parrish, and she's fabulous. And we just have these awesome conversations that are humorous and nice, but
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned resiliency. That's really a big part of it too. And that's something sometimes it's really learned, isn't it, Liz, to be resilient. And sometimes through the things that we experience in our lives, we realize that in many occurrences, we're more resilient than we give ourselves credit for.
Oh, sure. You know, it's interesting. And it's just something that I was just listening to Martha Beck talk about, which was about tracking animals. And I've been thinking a lot about it lately. That when you track an animal, it's the losing the path and then finding it again, which is where all the strength and that like the power comes from. If that makes sense, it's like sometimes going off your center and losing your way has to happen. So when you find it again, you're that much stronger. That the muscle is built. Resiliency is built in moving, failing, going on, doing stuff that doesn't work, going off in the wrong direction for a while, recognizing it, forgive yourself for that.
That's a big one.
Then, okay, course correct and go back, and then you find it again, and now you found it and you're even more powerful because you gained that strength. So resiliency to me is that the faith that even when I fall off my center, you know, I know I'm going to find it again. I know I'm going to, even if I just don't even know it in this moment. I know I will, and I will have, you know, I might have to, I don't know, you know, I'm really big about allowing yourself to feel what you're feeling.
Right. Well, because so many of us, we numb and we hide the pain, or we hide the true raw feelings. We smooth it over with things, always looking for that pill.
Direction. Honestly, right. Feelings are, you know, it's just resonance in your body. If you just really feel and try to feel even more, you'll realize they'll start to dissipate. They'll start to soften. You know, it's the fear of the fear, which is worse than actual fear.
And actual fear, right? Exactly. Right. Exactly.
Because actual fear is here for you to say, run from danger. And it's when we run from the fear is when we get into trouble.
You know, I had always heard and have experienced myself too, that especially when it comes to performance, oh, good. You've got the glass there. We'll do it. We do a toast. Yeah. We always do a toast on this show too. Sometimes we do it at the beginning, but we'll do it.
Beverages here.
You got to have them. That, like you're talking about facing the fear, which is so important, and especially in acting and in performance or just in life, that when you are, and I still get it, you know, some people will say, gee, you know, you've done this so long and you seem to be calm, cool, collected, and you're so easy to talk to, and you make it look all so smooth and everything flows and like nothing bothers you. But literally inside, all cylinders are firing. I'm game on, spot on. I hear everything. I see everything like you do, you know, in the work that you've done as an actress and as a life coach, because you're listening deeply to what they're saying and you're responding to it. The feeling of those butterflies, having the butterflies when you're just about to do something or you're thinking about something that you're going to be doing, and especially if it's performance. And the fact that it's really good and you should embrace those butterflies because they're telling you that you are still very passionate about it. You still care about what it is, and you want to strive for excellence in whatever it is you're about to do, especially again, if it's performance, but in life too. It's
Mhm.
when you lose those butterflies, when you don't have that little angst, even if you've done something, gone on stage, whatever, a million times, it's when you lose that, that maybe it's a sign, maybe it's time to move on to the next thing, right?
Because that's a sweet spot, because it has fear and excitement, and it's fear moving forward, not fear retreating. It's a different kind of fear. It's a sweet spot fear for me. I'm scared, but I'm gonna take a step out.
Here I go.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And you're going to knock it out of the park,
Right.
which is the key. So, how does it work with your life coaching? Is a lot of it now, I guess, a lot of, with technology, you're doing it over the internet and
I did that before, so this is not any it's not new to me. I
right.
I've been Skyping because I would work with people across country. I have lovely clients that live on the other side of the country. I even have one in Italy, and it's wonderful, so we Skype or FaceTime or Zoom or just the phone because honestly, I can hear it. I can feel it. I can feel energy, and I can feel when someone's like, "What just happened there?" Like, I just
Yeah.
sometimes in the beginning when I started coaching, it was easier for me to be on the phone because I actually could hear and listen
Yeah.
deeper.
Hmm.
Um, but as an actor, we're so in tune with energetic flow, so I know when someone's off. And I'm
So sort of an intuitive situation, right? Right. You can really tell and feel it, and well, but that's because you're somebody, and you and I talked about this too in that phone call after the radio show. You are very in tune with the human condition, the understanding of emotion, the psychological aspect of it all, and you're somebody who really likes to get to the core, to the essence of the person. Like one of the things I've always said with me is I really like one of the first questions I always ask, not just in interviews, but I think in life, is why? Because I want to feel it. I need to feel it. Then I'll get into the what and the how. And then, okay, now that I understand and really feel the depth of the why, then let's roll up our sleeves and pitch in and let's create the what and the how and the when and all the rest. But that why is very important.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my favorite exercise, I'm sure I told you, and I do it every morning. It's a really good one for me in the morning. And I think of three things in the last 24 hours, and every day it has to be different. Can't use the same things. But three things that I'm grateful for that happened in the last moments in the last 24 hours, and why. Because it's not enough to go, I'm just so grateful that I had coffee with my adult children. Like, that's great. But then you have to go, why? Why and that's like, oh, because that was deep connection. That was love and connection and intimacy, in this lovely moment. And then my whole body feels it. And so, and it's even like I have this beautiful pool, which I'm so happy. It's the first time in my life I've lived in a place where there's a pool. And we opened it. And like there's a part of me that's like, "Oh, I'm so grateful for this pool." And I realized, you know what it is? It's it's the freedom. It's the fact that it's right there. And it's so there's freedom to just be able to walk right out and go into it. And I don't have to get in my car. I don't have to go to a gym. I don't have to travel and do all this stuff. It's right there, and I'm just so grateful for that. It's like
Mm,
having a car that I can get into and drive anywhere that I want. When you really get down to the essence of why you feel grateful for this thing that's in your life, then you start to realize that's your core values. Like
right.
food is very important to me, and I realized that. It's like, wow. So because nobody else in my family uses this pool, it's like nobody else cares. I'm like, it's right here and it's
There it
amazing.
is. It's right. Exactly. And, you know, in situations like this, with the going back to that pandemic situation, it really gives us pause to really appreciate those things that are around us, the blessings and the joys that
Right.
are right around us. And those simple things like the pool out in the yard, or the ability to work in a garden and plant flowers or vegetables, to pick up the phone and talk to the family and check in on the friends, which a lot of us have been doing, and, you know, making sure everybody's doing well. The basic things, without all the buzz and without all the bling and all the other who cares what everybody else is doing, focusing on the things that
Yeah.
we want to do and we need.
And
You
not
know?
feeling guilty, for me, not feeling guilty that I'm not attending to other social obligations, or I'm not out there, I'm not out there making all this money every day, all day long. And like I don't have, there's a burden that's been lifted with this, because I don't feel guilty for taking the day to truly appreciate my garden. And it's amazing, because any other time I would have been, okay,
I gotta be. Yeah.
I maybe if it were Saturday or Sunday, I still have that mentality in my head.
Oh yeah. That if you're just sitting there, you're not.
Really follow my true self and where I want to be, and meditate in nature and do all this stuff. But now I'm like, I can do this on a Tuesday afternoon, and I don't feel guilty. Like, I mean, this actually is helping.
So
Um,
you're able to do this, which I always show during the course of the broadcast.
relax.
Relax. You're able to relax, to
I'm able to
breathe,
relax. That's it. Yes.
and because, you know, especially in the career that you've had with, you know, the entertainment industry, even in this line of work that I'm in, which is basically the same, we're always feeling, even in our idle time, that we're not connected. We're not plugged in. We should be at this event and we should be
Oh yeah.
doing this and we should be. And when you're not, I mean, I think I said it 2 days ago. I think it was over the weekend. There was a period where nothing was going on. It was a Sunday, but nothing was going on. And we got together with family. You know, it was Memorial Day, but still there was a period where it was quiet. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm connected. I don't feel like I'm doing, I gotta be doing something. But then that time that came and went and subsided. And it was beautiful and blissful when it did.
Yeah. I think this is the first time in close to 40 years that I have not been on call as an actor.
Yeah.
Like I'm not on call to go to auditions or go to set, or like have that, oh, well, I better,
Like a doctor. Yeah. Gotta go.
I might get an audition at the end of the week. I better like make sure. I'm always like making sure, like, okay, do I have this, my schedule figured out, and I'm always prepared. I always make sure, am I in shape for this? If I were to get called, that's always been my discipline and my focus. If I were to be called in for something, I check myself, like, am I good here?
Right.
And it's really interesting for such an extended period of time to, like, there's this other kind of freedom where I've got my pool pandemic hair.
I got the hat on. Yeah. The hair salon's closed. Right. Exactly.
But
Well, you know what's, I think, reassuring, maybe for people like us too, and maybe for a lot of people watching. We got a lot of great viewers who are making great comments. We appreciate everybody joining us here. This is award-winning actress and life coach Liz Keifer. I'm your host, Jim Masters, here on the Jim Masters Show Live. I think the comfort comes a little bit, maybe, for us from the fact that we know that generally everybody else is having to pause, and
yeah,
everybody else is having to. So if it was just us, then we'd be like, oh, well, we're not connected. Oh, we got to be going here and doing this. But knowing, there's a little bit of a freedom knowing that this is something global that has really affected all of us. So we all have that time to sort of reevaluate, refresh, reboot, renew, right?
yes, I agree. There is something to that. There's no fear of missing out. I mean, at all. And this is what it's been nice being able to be helping with my clients. And I've had a lot of older clients that are coming back to me right now, like wanting to check in. it's been really helpful, like being able to have that trusted relationship and help each other. They help me too.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
always
that's
helped by this.
right.
Every time I work with somebody, I have the most amazing people that I've worked with I'm so inspired. Anybody who's willing to be honest and really with themselves and make that intention to live in their values and their truth, no matter what. Even it means sometimes things have to be deconstructed in their life, in order to create, and they're willing to do it. Willing. I'm just inspired by that. I think that's just awesome.
Well, I asked you earlier too, how much of you are in the roles and which roles really represented the closer essence of who Liz is. I would imagine similarly when you're working with your life coaching clients, and some of them probably almost even become like friends in a way because you get so sort of develop a closeness to them and they appreciate you and you appreciate them.
Yeah.
How much of what you're hearing them say to you as far as their fears and hopes and desires and wishes do you see reflected on yourself? How you see a lot of you in them?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Like when you're like acting.
About, 3 blocks ahead of them. That's all. I just like, oh wait, I know this. Let me ask you a few questions. Let's see if you it's scary how the shared resonance sometimes, where it's like it some of these amazing people that I've been working with, and they'll be issues, and it'll have just been something that I had truly gone through myself and figured out. I'm just a few blocks ahead of them. That's it. That's all.
See, I think that's what makes you so relatable too. I think relatable through your work as an actress because the essence of you is in there, but also relatable as a life coach as well, because you've been there, you understand, you've had all these occurrences that you've just described where you had things happen and you stop and pause and say, no, thank you, or maybe not, or maybe there's some other door or other avenue because you've had things thrust on you where you've had to make those decisions and really be in touch with self.
Not a lot of people just kind of just need permission to do that. It's amazing. Sometimes it's very simple.
Right, exactly.
Permission to do what feels right, what feels good. I can't do that. And it's like,
you can, yeah, actually, right.
that. Yeah.
Had you in the acting career, was there ever a role offered you that you were really, really nervous about? Meaning that this was a big thing, you really wanted to nail it, you've really admired whatever the situation is, and there was a lot of self-doubt and or fear in taking the role, and then eventually you did take the role, whatever role it was. But was there one that really stood out for you as one like, wow, this is a big one, and I really can't believe it's coming my way, but I'm a little fearful about it?
Huh. Interesting. Because I don't know about in those terms because I was so excited to take over the role of Blake. Even though I was terribly intimidated because Sherry was so good, and but she chose to leave, and I just knew that if anybody's going to play her, I'm going to play it. I mean, they're recasting that, so it's going to be me. So I kind of went in there with a different kind of like, oh, I'm ready. I think it was interesting when I went on to play General Hospital. That was a strange one because it was the role of a nun or a novice. And in the beginning, I was just like, how do I be a novice? Until I realized it's not that. It's just, how do I be this person who happens to be, who's made these choices to be a novice? I had to reframe it. And, but in the beginning, I was definitely intimidated. Like, what do you do to be a nun?
Yeah.
But so that was an interesting journey. I learned a lot with that one. a lot. So I was funny. I did this really, really small role on in a film called Morning Glory, playing Jeff Goldblum's wife. And seriously, it's like this one scene, and I'm just in the background trying to get his attention. We're on the steps of the Met, and I'm decked out in a gown and trying to get him to join me. We're going to go into this gala, and we've been married for 20 years and all this. And he's with Amy. No, what's her name? I can't remember her name. Oh my God, she's so amazing. Anyway, he's distracted with work, and my whole job was just to stand on the top of the stairs and try to get his attention, and like, hello, let's go. And I have to say that was super intimidating because there was no scene, there were no lines. It was just this responding back and forth, and I had never met him, and it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and I met him in the makeup trailer, and we just had a chance to say, hi, I'm playing your wife. Okay. And then that was it. We were on set, and he was 100 yards away from me. Like, he was far down at the bottom of the steps. I'm at the top. And at first I got up there and I looked around and I said, I'm on this A-list movie, and Jeff Goldblum's down there. Supposed to be, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I going to do? I remember thinking, okay, well, first of all, who would you be if this were you at dry rehearsal with Jerry?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I needed to do.
Right.
And I said, oh, well, I can do that. And then I was in the whole thing. And it was funny. I just needed to make that shift. But I mean, in answer to your question, that was probably the biggest moment where I got on set and I was suddenly faced with this. I went, what have I done? Because I didn't have a script. It was funny.
As you were telling that phenomenal story, and thanks for sharing that with us, there was a beautiful cat that just dive bombed off the bed and went out the door behind you. Who was that?
That's probably Clay. My daughter has 2 cats she brought home from college, Clay and Sam. And it was like cashmere looking.
Yes.
Beautiful. That's Clay. Yeah. The light has completely changed because the sun has gone down. And so now I'm like, I don't know how to change my lighting. I'm now I feel like I'm like,
when you're back further, it's better. Yeah.
Oh, back further is better.
Yeah,
okay.
that's better. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
The light just has completely gone down. So anyway.
So you had light coming in from the outside?
What?
Yeah, sort of natural light coming in.
And now I just have this one light on my desk, and now it's like, woo. Anyway.
Yeah. The whole world has changed from the studios. Yeah, where's the lighting director when you need him, right?
I changed. I needed this this has to get dimmed now.
So you said that you live in the country, and you're able to go outside, and of course we're wearing the masks as we should, but you can go out and you can breathe and get fresh air. You can take a dip in the pool. What's a typical day right now? And again, everything is pretty much atypical, but what's a typical day for Liz Keifer like now?
Wow, it ebbs and flows all week, because every week I record a podcast, so that's kind of cool. I have, towards the end of the week we record, so I'm always coming up with the ideas and the exercises or whatever it is, the topic that we're going to speak about. So that's kind of cool. My mornings are always my quiet time, no matter what. So that's my thought process time, my meditation time. So I really, now I'm like indulgent, and I can take 2 hours to just nobody talk to me. And I have several exercises that I do that keep me incredibly centered and started and resonating with incredible gratitude, and I create my intentions for the day. I mean, I really do have a very structured, creative little things I do each day. So that's my morning goes into that, and then Um, uh, I'm the forager for the family. I'm trying to keep everybody super protected, my kids and my husband. So I'm the one that goes out into the world and gathers the survival food and what have you. Because I know I can control that, and I have my mask, and I make masks for the local mask guild, for our fire
Yeah.
department and our local nursing homes and such. So I have a whole bunch of masks. So there was a period of time where all I did was 2 hours every day I made masks. I'm kind of taking a break for that for a little bit, but so I do whatever errands in the house that needs to get done, and then I have a workout routine. Now I'm swimming, and I take these long walks, like for an hour in the woods, and which is amazing. And and I'll have coaching calls, which would usually be in the afternoon. And I'm in the process of working with a few people because I'm trying to redo my website, and
Yeah.
I've got a lot of different things happening all at once, but
All
it's
in there.
a lovely routine right now.
Is there anything that, I think I asked Tony LoBianco this last night. I said, on the Tony LoBianco bucket list, I mean, you were in Police Story, The French Connection. I mean, all these incredible things, Tony. Is there anything on a bucket list for you of things you would love to do? He's very involved with charities as well, and veterans and things of that nature. And he said that he wanted to play King Lear. He wanted to play King Lear, which is absolutely incredible to take on a role like that. If there was something that is still on the Liz Keifer bucket list, because again, you've had an illustrious acting career in television and film. You're doing this wonderful deep work as a life coach. You have the podcast. What else is there that you still want to do?
Yeah, that's good. I love to be on series television. I really do. I like when I was watching the Kaminsky Method.
Yes, right.
I want to be on that show.
You want to be on there.
There's still that. There's still. I love I love being part of an ensemble. I love the dramedies, I guess, the comedy and the drama, just everything poignant, heart, wisdom. So I see shows like that, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to work with like-minded people who are out there to help by storytelling, and
exactly.
So I can't give you a role necessarily. Last year I played, I did a Long Day's Journey into Night, and I played the wife, and that was like the epic King Lear.
Right.
Amazing to do. And I've had a chance to, and you mentioned Danny Goggin. He lives, he's in this area, and
he's watching right now too. He watches every night. He's a great guy, isn't he?
Well, we did.
Hi, Danny.
At the depot.
He was just a guest last week on the show too. I've known him for a long time.
Depot, and I was the Mother Superior. It was great.
How did you like that?
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I did my Irish brogue. Well, it was fantastic. We had a great. Like the last year and a half, I've had the most amazing theater performances. I did Steel Magnolias.
Yeah.
I did Nonsense.
Yeah.
I did Company. Well, we did an older version of Company.
Yeah.
We upped it 10 years. But so yeah, I had an opportunity to play. I have a wonderful theater community where I live. So I love, all of that.
Absolutely. We have some nice comments coming in here too. Let's see. Lori Masters Romano. Liz, you're a wonderful person, and thanks so much for a wonderful interview with Jim. That is beautiful. That's my sister in Florida watching.
Oh,
yeah, my sister Lori.
have to put my glasses on to read.
Yeah, yeah. And let's see, Christopher says, relax, release, and let go. Yes, that's very, very important. And let's see, Liz, with this interview, I feel like you're talking with each and every one of us. That is really so true. She's so perfect at that. And let's see, what else do we have here? Out in nature, especially barefoot, is great grounding. Yes, it is. And Martha Oliver Swartz says, well, Liz, you're a kind soul helping the community with masks, beautiful inside and out. That is, you were telling me about that you're working to do that. And I think that is really just a beautiful thing to do. And we got a ton. Let's see, the best, what is it here? The best singers are great storytellers. Orson Greenfield says, this is a wonderful interview. Christopher Joseph says, the power of now.
Oh, the power of now. Well, just period. The power of now. Absolutely. That's it.
Great interview and testimony on your career and life. And Kimberly Cook, Yukoneer, says, yes, that's so true. She always has a tagline. She says, positive energy travels far.
Yes.
Live in the moment and get into the here and now. That's very, very true. And you are a dynamic and beautiful soul. That's really, really nice. And Karen Levitt, who's in New Hampshire, she says, Liz, listening, pausing to listen to our inner voice thoughts are crucial. We're so busy doing that we often don't hear or acknowledge our inner self. We choose to play it safe with what we know, that comfort zone.
Absolutely.
That comfort zone.
I know it well.
And let's see. And Maggie says, hi, Jim, cool, trippy background.
Yeah, I love background.
She works with HGTV and produces a lot of cool shows. They worked on, the Brady renovation. It's just a good friend, Maggie, with Lauren and the whole gang at HGTV when they took the Brady Bunch house.
Oh,
and they had all the Brady kids come with the Property Brothers, and they redid the entire Brady Bunch house on HGTV. Really, really cool. That's the most iconic house, I think, in any television series or movie is that house. A wonderful story, awesome story, great show, Liz. That's really, really nice to see. So cool to see how you've blossomed as an actress and a TV personality. Let's see. This person, a beautiful woman, Sharon Beth, she's in New York. She's in a nursing home. She used to live in Connecticut. Beautiful soul. She said she cried when Jerry passed away. Very sad. He was a great actor. So I guess from
Jerry, you mean his character passed away?
Right. I think, yeah. She was very taken by that. And then Lori says, hi, Jim. Hi, Liz. Love The Guiding Light and watched it for years. Are you still in touch with any of the cast members?
Mm-hmm. Sure, I am. Of course, Jerry, I am, and very good friends with his wife too. Beth and I are theater buddies. We go to theater all the time. We were supposed to go to theater a couple of weeks ago in the city, and that was sad that we couldn't. So Jerry, and I saw Fiona Hutchinson.
Did you really?
Over New Year's, which was great. She came up to the house. It was just fantastic. So yeah, and Ivana Wright and Orla Cassidy, but everybody that's in New York, I keep tabs on. Beth Chamberlain, Kim Zimmer, of course. Kim and AC love them. They're just fantastic. And Robert Newman.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah.
A lot. And but then, I worked with Crystal Chappelle on Venice, and we're now on her, she's got this great streaming network called the Real Woman's Network, REEL, and it's a streaming service that is supporting all female, it's all content made by women. And my podcast is up on it. So because we actually film the podcast as well. So it goes out to Apple and Spotify and all of that. But the film of it goes to Real Women's Network. So if you want to actually watch the video of it. So Crystal and Laura Wright, she's awesome. So, you know, I mean, if I'm not in contact necessarily in person, but virtually we are. Oh my gosh, the cats are everywhere now.
Are they coming back?
They're both up on my desk.
Are they? Let's see if we. I was going to see if we get a wide shot to see the cats. There we go. There we go. Cutie, cutie, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So they're just there temporarily, or?
Well, no, they're now here. They're now going to be here until my daughter just graduated from college.
Wesleyan, yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
What did she study?
Photography. She's a studio arts. Oh, here comes the other one. Who's going to go through it? Okay, no.
Don't spill the glass.
Yeah, don't spill the glass, please. So she actually just got accepted into an artist residency in Ireland, and
Wow,
she's
very cool.
Providing all as well. So it depends. She would like to go to Los Angeles for a year before she applies to grad school. And I don't know if she'll be taking the cats with her or not. But the cats are here for home base, unless she's in a place where she can take them. But right now in the pandemic, we're all here. I mean, you know, I'm a little guilty for loving the fact that my adult children are forced to live with me.
And
I'm okay with this.
Exactly. Are there elements of the life coach that are coming into play with the dynamic within the family and everybody there hunkered down?
Oh, sure. We've actually done really well. I mean, we're really good. Yes, everybody's learned to stay in their own business and allow to have. I mean, we're big on that. That's been knocked into them. Allowing other people to be who they are. You know, that your job is to stay in your own business, which means your own thoughts, your own reaction. You're responsible for that, for your own thoughts, actions. There's a wonderful equation of this I heard this from Brooke Castile, who runs a life coach school, which is amazing. But the 4 rules for wonderful relationships, and we're living them in this house. Is the first rule is to commit to love.
Mm-hmm.
That's number 1.
Yeah.
Second rule is to give up the need to be right. Those 2 will change your life, right? You know, you may be right, but give up the need to be right. Third is to give up the need to control another person's thoughts or actions. It's like, that's not your business. It's like, give up that need to control that. And the 4th is to take 100% responsibility for your own thoughts and actions.
Right.
And so they all like play. So there's a lot of allowing people to have their anger if they're going to have their anger. I mean, I think there's a lot of letting people, I'm going to fall apart today. Okay. And I'm allowed to fall apart.
Exactly.
I get to fall apart. And there's this sense of safety with that here. I think we're been pretty good. So I'm
beautiful.
Really
Things are good.
And I'm really so much better now to allowing stuff. I used to like go crazy if somebody was angry in my house. I'd be like, why are they angry? You know, and I would like respond to it differently.
Try to solve it and help fix it, a fixer.
It's not my job to, you know, fix that. It's like, it's going to have to feel that way.
Awesome. Wow. Those rules are very powerful. He's very right. Well, you know, I think I told you that story real briefly that really lines in beautifully what you just said in trying to fix things and always running to the aid of everybody else was when I was on that TV shoot in just west of Las Vegas, and we were filming this beautiful oil painter who is probably, I'd say, in her early 70s. And we arrived in Vegas. We went out to Pahrump, Nevada, about an hour west of Las Vegas. Never heard of the town before, real desert town. We met up with Dorothy, the oil painter. She's got her work in Vegas and London and New York and LA galleries. A wonderful, really spirited, real, authentic person. And we had dinner at a barbecue restaurant there in Pahrump with her and her husband. The next morning, Camera crew came. I arrived at her home studio, and we filmed a sit-down interview as well as a tour of the studio and all the beautiful work that she was so proud of. And she wrote a book teaching others how to do the same thing, how you too can be an oil painter.
Wow.
When that was all done, the camera guy had to go back to LA because he was on a film shoot in the morning. I still had most of that day left, that second day, and I'd say maybe half of the next day left before my flight came back east. So I was driving around the town, with the rent-a-car, and I always like to check out areas and learn about areas. And I kept seeing these signs for Death Valley. And I was like, wow, Death Valley. Oh my God. I mean, you see that in movies, you see that on television. That's an ominous place. You go in there and you might not come out. That is just something. It's so dry. You had to take a drink right now. Death Valley. So I'm like, wow, well, I don't really have, time to go through Death Valley. What was really weird about it, Liz, was as I was driving around this Pahrump, Nevada and checking out the views and the vista and the beauty of it all, everything kept bringing me to that entrance of Death Valley. I kept ending up at the entrance. So I said, well, maybe I'll come back one day when I have loved ones and friends in the car, because I like to share experiences. I like to create experiences, but I like to share them with others as well. So if we're going to go to a monumental place like a Death Valley, and who knows when I'm going to be here in Pahrump, Nevada ever again on a shoot or otherwise, I'd rather come back when I have the loved ones and friends with me. So something pushed me to take that rental car. Nobody knew I was going into Death Valley. Didn't have all the charged up cell phones, didn't have all the water, didn't have the other person in the car. And I'm in a rental car. And I'm driving in August in Nevada into Death Valley with no plan, haven't done it before, and just started driving in. And the first 15 to 20 minutes, which connects me to what you just said, I felt a tremendous guilt. And the guilt was this overwhelm that I was not sharing what I built up to be a monumental experience of going through Death Valley with other people, with loved ones, friends, hearing them giggle, hearing their oohs and ahs, all the beautiful things, the raw nature, everything that I was seeing visually. I felt selfish that I was seeing it myself, and that the loved ones and the family and the friends were not seeing this with me. Like, how come only I get to see this in this alone rental car on this post TV shoot situation? So 15 to 20 minutes, I felt tremendous guilt. So as I was going along, I felt three really cool energies. And one energy was the earth. I felt like this power and pull of the earth. That I was actually on a planet, on the earth. And I felt, because it had to be a desert. It couldn't be the ocean, because the ocean is my go-to place. I love the ocean. I'm swimming in it, boogie boarding, surfing. You got to drag me out of the ocean because I grew up on the coast. So it couldn't be the ocean, couldn't be a forest, couldn't be a city, couldn't be suburbs. I grew up in the suburbs. It had to be stripped desert. So power of the earth. I felt the power of nature around me, a real sense of nature. And then I felt an essence of a divine above me, sort of guiding me along as well. So I felt, which was really dramatic, three powerful energies concurrently: earth, mother nature, and a divine. And they were giving me this opportunity to say, okay, well, you can turn the car back and go back to the hotel and wait for the flight in the morning, or you can keep going like you've done in your career. You can keep going. Yeah, there's a lot of risk involved. It's 110 in Vegas. Can you imagine what it's like in the desert in August? You're in a rental car, no supplies. Nobody even knows that you're going in this alone. There's none of the normal things we would have normally planned. And it had to be risky, I guess. You have an option, turn the car back, or you can continue. I decided to continue. And as I was continuing, you mentioned a lifting of a burden earlier. There was this burden being slowly lifted, and that burden was of the understanding that you're not always going to have to, there are going to be experiences in your life that occur that don't always have to be shared. Sometimes there'll be something that is presented to you, and you're the only one in the room. And guess what? That's not selfish. That's fine. That's okay. That's a gift. The second thing people ask me, because I ended up driving all the way through and then turning the car around all the way back because, the flight was in the next morning and there's not a lot of gas stations or burger joints in Death Valley to stop off at. So I came back, and it was extraordinary. I mean, the beauty of it all, the raw nature, the risk, everything involved. People say, well, what are some of the things you got out of that? Did it change you? What happened? I said, well, it didn't change the essence of who Jim is. I'm still the same kind of person, heart-centric, all of that I've always been. But what it did do is it sort of confirmed and reaffirmed a few things for me. One is there will be experiences that will happen in my life that are meant just for me because I'm the only one experiencing it right now. And that's fine. It doesn't always have to be shared. It's not always heightened because the loved ones and the family are there. The second thing is that the world will continue to spin on its axis, even if I don't rescue it from itself all the time, if I'm not always running to put out all the fires, if I'm not always saving everyone and everything, the world will continue to spin. And the third thing, which I'm sure you can identify with, I've always had a problem when on an airplane, when the flight attendant says, when the mask drops, the oxygen mask, in case, we lose pressurization, put it on yourself first before you help that other person. Mm-hmm. Now, I was always raised, and I was always of the feeling, help thy fellow man. No. I'm going to help them first, and then I will put it on me. Well, now I realize that in order to be able to continue to put it on other people, the oxygen masks, and lift and inspire other people, I have to grab the mask myself first, get the oxygen, and then do that. And I still, when I'm on an airplane, 5 to 10% of me still doesn't like when I hear it. I go, ugh. But then I realize that you have to do that. And that came out of, I call it the Death Valley story. There's more to it. People said, write a book on it. I feel like I'm in the car with you when you describe it. But those are, and that was only about a year and a half ago. So it's still fresh.
Yeah.
Those are some cool things that really came out of that, driving alone through Death Valley like that.
That was a powerful lesson. Really, really. Thank you for sharing that. Because it's just beautiful. You had a profound experience there.
It was a life-changing. People have said, you know what it is? They said, some people I've interviewed have said it was a gift. I was presented, when I kept being brought back to the entrance of Death Valley, I was offered a gift. Wow. And I could have chose to ignore it, not recognize it, and just, go back to the hotel. They said, but you took the gift and you ran with it. And that's some of the things that you came out of it. The understanding of, that not everything has to be a shared experience. There's going to be things that you experience that are just for you, that you don't have to save the world all the time. It'll continue to spin, and that you need the oxygen for yourself before you share it with other people. So then I'll say, well, how come this didn't happen when I was 25 years old? How cool. They said you wouldn't have been ready. You wouldn't have recognized it. You might have blown it off. You had to live life to have that happen.
Well, you have to be able to allow it. There's a certain time in your life where you were ready to receive it and allow it to be there, and there's something in there. I kept getting that, like allowing, the even allow yourself to have this experience by yourself. Like it didn't have to be reflected off of how somebody else is experiencing it. You didn't have to share it. You didn't have to be okay. It's okay for me to have it as long as they're having it too. It's
right.
It's really interesting. There's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
But for you, you were ready for it. But you were at that place. Sometimes you don't see things until you see them. And then you do better. You do better when you know better. Then you do better.
Exactly. Right. Well, what happens, and I'm sure you've experienced it too sometimes, is because I'm not always. What's the right way to put this? I would always run and jump for anything, anytime anybody needed anything, even at the slight of myself. Always put me on hold. Even if I have a fire here, I would run to help the other person with their fire first, then go back to my fire. Now I tend to my fire and then help people with their fire. So sometimes when that happens, you get some periphery people who just sort of fall off the ledge because you're not rescuing them all the time and saving them all the time. So they sort of, that's pretty much what they always expected and always wanted. So they just sort of go away on their own. But then it opens up this whole Pandora's box of phenomenal energy and people. Like coming out of that, my phone rings off the hook. Everybody wants to collaborate. Everyone's, they want me there. They want me here. They want me. It's extraordinary.
You're present when yourself. You're not outside of yourself taking care of other people and bypassing yourself. You're fully present. Then of course you're going to magnetize other people who are like, ooh, that's great. That's great. It sounded like you definitely, if you're off fixing, it's that whole drama triangle, the victim, the fixer, and the persecutor. But you're either the victim is the person that's help me, blaming other people. You need to come in and help me. And then so you come in and you rescue. You be the rescuer. That's what it is. You come in and you rescue. And then it's fascinating because often victims will go. They'll suddenly get resentful. It's like, no, stop doing that. You're doing it wrong, or something. They start criticizing you, and then the rescuer turns into the victim. Like, I'm doing all this stuff for you. How come you're not grateful? How come you're getting mad at me now? And it's fascinating. You can flip on a dime, going from victim to rescuer, or rescuer back to victim. It's a fascinating little drama triangle. But it sounds like you were involved in that, because if you were constantly rescuing people who were in the victim, they saw themselves through the lens of the victim, and victims don't really like it when they ultimately get rescued, because it's being, to live in that victimhood is to give your personal power away, and then somebody comes in and fixes things for you. You still haven't gotten your power, and that's why you get mad. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, like you said, that you've learned, even like within the household, not to be the fixer, that to sort of like
rescuing. I stopped rescuing at all. And it's been amazing, because
it's a burden lifter for you, isn't it?
Process, and I don't have to be responsible for it. And they actually need to go through it. And it's like, they have to go off and be angry and figure this out,
So how did you come to that realization? Like for me, it took me to drive through raw desert of Death Valley to come out of that understanding, and that there will be experiences that will just be for me as well. And that's fine and okay. Do you have a Death Valley story? I mean, when did you end up clicking into, this is the way, can't be the fixer, and put the oxygen mask on you first?
Right. Well, honestly, it's really when I really got in depth in my coaching training, because it's that whole, it's really learning about this drama triangle, because I realized that the more I interfered, and it's very spiritual and mystical in nature, that you're actually robbing people of their experiences. Once I understood that actually, when I go off and rescue people, it was really more about me. It was me wanting to feel good about me, and improving my worth, like people pleasing. That was my experience. I'm not saying it's yours. My rescuing situation came from, I needed to be approval, people pleasing, and am I enough? Am I enough? Look what I can do for you. I can fix all this stuff for you. And I just didn't know how to be equal. And then when I realized that that's going in, and like I learned it with children, really. I learned it with growing up. It's actually robbing them of their growth process and their emotional development. If I go in and fix things for them and make it all fine, and so they don't have to feel, then they're not going to learn how to feel. They're not going to learn how to get this, go through this themselves. And what happens when they leave the house and they go off into the real world, and they've never learned it because I've protected them so much. And so I think I learned it that way. I suddenly had this aha moment when I think when my kids were around 5 and 7, where I went, oh, wait a second. Where's the balance? I have to allow them to have these experiences. And I started to train myself to allow other people. And then I don't like it when people, don't allow me my experiences. And so, it's just a way of doing things. And then in the coaching, world, that's a very big deal about what you have to get your boundaries on what's your business and what's other people's business. Your job is to stay in your business and be responsible for your business. But the minute you start to get into other people's business, you're out of your business. You're not in yourself. You're not in the power of now. You're in their business and you're deciding for them. And
do you have to pull back sometimes? Meaning, like when you see somebody you normally would have run to assist, not somebody that falls down on the street. Of course, you're going to run to help them. Not that type of situation, but those scenarios where you would have normally come right in, swooped in to try to lift and help. Do you find yourself having to pause and say,
yes,
let them? I do too. I do too. Yeah.
I have a phrase that goes through my head, and it sounds kind of cold, but it's my way of stopping me just saying, oh, well, I guess they're just going to have to feel that. And a lot of it's with anger or something like hurt or frustration. And I have to stop it's with my kids too, when they're going through college and all that stuff, and they call me in distress and I would be there. I actively to hold space. I was always there. It's not like I'd go, I'm sorry, I'm not going to listen to you.
Right.
I would listen and not fix. And
right.
she's just going to have to feel this and ask questions. I could be a coach, but a coach is asking questions and not rescuing. Coach is just helping to push up, what I'm hearing is this, and shining and putting a mirror up. And so
right.
they themselves, but it's a tricky thing. That kind of relationship thing is really, really tricky. And everybody being close together like this is big. But I just know that when I decided, I changed first in my household. I decided I'd stop trying to control my husband. I'd allow him to have his anger or his fits or whatever it is. I'd allow my kids to have them, and I would stop being responsible for them. And I realized when I did that, and I just sort of like a jujitsu move, I stepped aside and let it kind of dissipated. When I try to resist it and go in and stop it and let me make you feel better and let me help this, it actually, what you resist persists. So it actually expanded and got worse, if that makes sense.
It does.
I just learned valuable lessons, like sometimes just allow other people to be there. And, that's not my job. There is a law of I call it the art of allowing. It's huge. Allowing it is I've said this word a lot tonight because it's a very resonant word for me. I think it's allowing people to be who they are without stopping them. But you have to have strong boundaries because you have to also at the same time know who you are. Mm-hmm. So it's boundary work as well.
You love this work, don't you? This is really at the core, Liz, of who you are. I mean, this is really, and I love this conversation. I know we've gone a little longer than normal, but I just love chatting with you and that instant kindred spirit connection we made when I was tasked with being the one that interviewed you on the radio. And then the conversation we had after was so effortless and automatic. Yeah. And even tonight with this conversation, I feel like we're in the same room together. We're just, sharing our lives and our experiences. And you've touched many, many lives. I'm reading a lot of comments here. A lot of people, even in your roles and guiding light and everything else, people very moved by your performances and the depth of who you are and what you've shown people. And now you're doing it at an even deeper level, working one-on-one with people and understanding the human condition. It's very similar. The acting and the life coaching, they meld in so many beautiful ways, right?
They do, because it's a transformation. I mean, everybody gets transformed, and it's an exchange of energy and understanding emotions. And I love tracing things back and just what's the story you're telling yourself. And because most people don't stop to think about that.
No, they don't.
They don't even realize they're telling themselves a story. They're just responding to, it's so fascinating and wonderful to watch the transformation in people when they really get to their truth. Like, truth is a freedom that is just, even if it might be uncomfortable, but it's actually easier to tell the truth, because it's just such a sense of freedom and power. It's suddenly, oh, this is better than avoiding the truth and trying to squeeze yourself into a version of yourself that's really not 100% true.
Right.
That's actually more painful in the long run. And that's what I learned. I spent so long being really good at contorting myself that once, when I decided I'm not doing this anymore,
Done.
I don't care what you think about me. That is like, wow, this is truth. Like, it's really freeing. But you will lose people. You're right. There will be people on the ledge
Sort of fall right off.
They're like, you're being really strong when you're in your truth.
Exactly. Right.
And you're tending to yourself. And you're like, I have amazing boundaries now. I really do. I'm like,
Me too. Yeah.
you can be more passionate with people when you have boundaries, because you're not, what is right, and what is in your value and what's not in your value. And that you won't let somebody step over it and take that away from you. And therefore you can be more compassionate to those people, because you're going to take care of yourself. I mean, I find that really fascinating. It's counterintuitive that the more compassionate people, are the people who have the strongest boundaries. That's
Exactly.
a game changer for me in this past few years.
I would say exactly. And I think this is another reason why we connected so effortlessly it's the last few years for me too. Exactly. Where you have the boundaries and
the 50s. Well, I don't know. You may not be in your 50s, but I
am. Well, drive through Death Valley alone and you'll see what happens. But, it's really amazing when you look at all of this, because again, it's all part of the human condition, and you're doing beautiful work, Liz, and people love you, and it's easy to see why. And you're just really, you're an amazing spirit, and you continue to shine the light on so many people. And as a life coach, like you say, you don't fix their problems. You're a conduit. You're a facilitator. You sort of give them the safe zone through the questioning and the listening and the reinforcement, to have them sort of discover certain aspects of themselves and allow that to rise to the surface. And then that is very cleansing and beautiful for them. It's not like you're holding their hand and you're dictating, you must do this, you must read that chapter, you must do that.
Then you're not in your power. And I'm all about standing in your power. Like, the last thing I'm going to do is do something that's going to take your power away from you.
Exactly.
That's what I want everyone to stand in their power. That's my mission. I want everyone to feel that, feel what that feels like, and to live with that kind of freedom is just like really beautiful. And then I believe that it's just the door for everything lining up, and you start magnetizing, because you resonate differently. You've got a different vibration when you literally. I mean, we're all energy. So like, what you magnetize will be shared resonance with that, and it's a truthful, it has more positivity to it. It's just amazing. Your whole life just unravels differently. So I like to guide people through that process.
It's cool stuff.
I want it.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. Well, we must toast
Okay,
to
we're
this
toasting.
extraordinary, this could have been a TED talk, to this extraordinary conversation.
Thank
Uh,
you very much.
it, it was terrific. So what do you have in your glass?
Well, actually, it's so funny. I have 2 glasses. This is the tiniest bit of like a Vino Verde, and then my other glass that I've been drinking is ginger ale.
Very nice. That's a good sort of cross balance. Well, cheers to
Wine.
cheers to you, and it's a wonderful start of, I think, a great friendship ever since we did the radio show. Yeah, it's you're a blessing, and I'm honored to call you a friend, Liz, and really love chatting with you. And I appreciate your sharing so much time with our audience. I'm reading all these comments. People have been very moved by your work as an actress, now understanding that you do this extraordinary life coaching as well. And I wish you nothing but the very best. We hope to chat with you again soon on the show.
You know. Yeah. Thank you. Lovely to spend this Tuesday evening with you.
You as well. You as well. I'm glad we had this time together, as Cal Burnett used to say.
Oh, I love it.
All right, Liz, you take care. Thanks for being with us on the show. And again, it's a pleasure to know you.
All right. Thank you, Jean.
You
Bye.
take care. Bye-bye now. See you again. Thanks
got
for being on the show. Bye-bye. Pretty cool, huh? She's amazing. There's Liz Keifer, a fabulous actress, and she's also a life coach as well. And you've learned about the essence of who she is as a person. So if you've seen her act in all those different roles over the years, now you understand why she put so much of herself into those incredible roles. And she's just a beautiful person. She and I could have talked for a lot longer, but we just wanted to share the essence of who she is with you. Hope you enjoyed the show. I certainly did. And don't forget, as we've talked about tonight on this episode, especially with Liz Keifer, to relax and to breathe and count your blessings. And if you've got the pool outside like she does, go in and swim, work in the garden, and just, share essence of who you are, the real authentic self. And this was really a brilliant conversation. I appreciate all of the time that Liz gave us, and hope maybe it helps you too. Maybe you're going through something. Maybe you've got a tough time that's happening lately with everything with the pandemic and all. And I hope that maybe this conversation lifted you up. You learned a little bit more about one of your favorite actresses, Liz Keifer, and she welcomed us into her home as I'm here in my home studio. And I love welcoming you into my home every night as well. It really is a true blessing. Want to let you know that tomorrow night we have another great guest, musician and singer James F. Taylor Jr. is going to be here on Wednesday night. We're going to have some music and some fun, and then even more fun on Thursday as Loretta LaRoche. She is a stress management expert, humorist, and so much more. She's going to be here on Thursday, and then we have a whole host of guests coming up next week too, and more shows over the weekend. Thanks for being with us, everybody. I am your host, Jim Masters, for Jeannie and George and the whole gang, Silver and Jimmy. You have a great night. I thank you for being with us. Thanks for sticking with us. This was sort of an extended version of the show here, but we really appreciate you being with us. And I want to wish you a wonderful rest of your night. And again, it's a blessing having you here. Keep spreading the word. We've got great guests and all kinds of fun stuff on the Jim Masters Show Live. This was a cool episode, really, really moving episode. Thanks for being with us. You have a great night. Take care. Good night. Bye-bye. We'll see you tomorrow. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on the Jim Masters Show. Good night. We will see you again. 7 p.m. and 4 p.m. Pacific. Tell your friends. Share the word. Spread the love. Have watch parties. All right. Take care. Good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.